Hi, my name is Kassidy Buckner, and I will be reading my story, Reaching Realization. I know the sound by heart. I hear it in my nightmares, in the silence, in public. It's a sound she makes deep in her throat when she starts to seize. Every time I hear it, whether it's real or not, my heart stops and I listen. I always try to prepare myself for the next time it happens. I'll make promises that I'm not able to keep, but it always hits hard. I see her start to shake, and suddenly I'm on my knees with my fists balled in my hair over my ears. I never know how hard I'm crying until she stops. They never last more than 20 minutes, but they seem to drag on for eternity. I've tried everything to bring her back. I used to sit there and call her name, one last desperate hope that somewhere in her subconscious she heard me. She never did. Her mind was somewhere else, somewhere I'm not willing to go. When she cries about it to me, I tell her that she goes to heaven to visit her dad. This always makes her smile, and she accepts this unrealistic solution. Growing up, I watched her deteriorate. She took me to her doctor's appointments because she couldn't stand being alone. The other patients would give her dirty looks, assuming that her frail figure were the results of narcotics. I often sat ignored in a corner as the nurse tried desperately to find a vein that grew thin with the lack of nutrients. The fold of her elbow was a thick mixture of colors and scabs from the ordeal. My mother was often on such a large amount of painkillers that she was constantly asleep. When she thrashed around, her body parts would do things that they weren't meant to, and they would have to have surgery to undo them. So the doctors would give her strong medicine to ease her pain. And she rarely ate, even when I made toast and brought it up to her. When I returned, she'd be asleep on the bed, leaving the toast cold and abandoned. She told me once that she regrets that she slept so often. She says it was like going to sleep when I was an infant, and when she woke, I was a woman. She never understood how much it destroyed me, mainly because I never told her. During grade school, I was constantly worried that I would get that call, that someone with a sad expression plastered on their face would excuse me from class with the bad news chilling their eyes. When I was a teenager, I hated her. I blamed her for not being there for me as I felt a mother should. She stopped sleeping as much when I was about 12, but by then it was too late. We'd wake up in the morning and we'd start fighting instantly. I was certain she hated me too, that she blamed me for her seizures. After all, it was my birth that caused them to erupt from a dormant volcano. Our fighting was constant for years. Then it eventually downsized to bickering, and now we just disagree at times. I had lots of ammo that fueled my anger towards her, but one memory burned itself into my heart. I walked into the stuffy hospital room, and she stared at me for a minute, as if she couldn't quite understand why I was there. She pointed at me, looked at my dad, and asked who I was. I was so young, I didn't understand that she wasn't fully there. All my young mind could comprehend was that the woman who birthed me, loved me, and cared for me simply forgot me. I now have a phobia of hospitals. That built a barrier between us, one that wouldn't get destroyed until I was an adult. Today, losing her is still a strong fear. Often I feel as if it's a weapon. People constantly ask what I would do if she passes. How would I feel? When we argue, I get reminded instantly that that's not how I want things to be left. Even my mom uses it against me from time to time. She asks why I don't hold her when she seizes. What if she hits her head against something so hard she can't wake up? The question crushes me because I know I don't have the physical or the mental strength to hold her. She's supposed to be the strongest woman in the world to me, my idol, the one I'm supposed to look to when I'm in need. I barely have the strength to tuck pillows around her. I spend as much time as I can with her. I tell her the issues in my life that I know won't hurt her. I hug her and constantly remind her that I love her. It used to be the fear of losing her that made me do this, but now I do it because I want her in my life. She never abandoned me in my childhood, she just wasn't capable of being there. Life goes on like normal, every day runs its course, everything is natural. Until that earth-shattering moment when the heat goes to her head and she makes that sound, and suddenly I'm on my knees again.